Hello and welcome to Fempreneur True Confessions.
Welcome, everybody. I am Laura, and I am the owner of ODAA Virtual Assistant Agency. And yes, Oda is my nickname, so that is part of the title. And we are a small boutique agency that helps small businesses to grow and scale their businesses confidently. We love to help behind the scenes so that you can focus on your business the way that you love and enjoy it. Your superpower and the stuff that you don't like to do, we help you delegate that out and support you in your business and be your cheerleaders behind the scenes so that you can be your best.
Awesome. And I'm Angelique with Lady Power Solutions. And Lady Power Solutions takes a heart centered approach to offering project and event management to women entrepreneurs that are on fire and lighten up the world with their passion and drive. And we help them to achieve their mission in the most authentic way possible. Laura and I kind of do a lot of the same stuff, not in its entirety, but really, really simple. And what we found early on was that rather than feeling like we needed to compete with each other, because we are in the same type of business, we chose to take an abundance mindset. And that is that there is more than enough for everyone. And we refer clients to each other. And I love that. And I think that is so cool. Stuff that I don't want to do or can't do or don't have the team for, I refer to Laura and vice versa. So, um, and that's what we do, and we are what comprises Fempreneur True Confessions.
Absolutely. So, together, our mission is to empower women in business and to live a life of authenticity while supporting each other. So, instead of competing with each other, which we show here, um, that we are an abundance mindset, we don't want to compete, but we want to support women in business in a way that we feel that is true and authentic to us. So we do model that authenticity through our business, our personal relationships, and every aspect of our world and our life. We're very open and supportive of each other. And like I said, cheerleaders, we cheerlead our clients from behind the scenes and each other in a way that helps empower women and hopefully empowering them to do the same for each other as well.
Yeah. And that's what the podcast is about, right? To normalize the challenges, share the lessons we learn. The common goal is to lift other women up and never tear them down, to normalize what it looks like when women succeed at supporting each other, building up each other's confidence, and encouraging each other to use our gifts and passions to fulfill our life's calling. So we're here in the podcast, through the podcast, to build, maintain, and grow a sisterhood that believes in this abundance mindset. We're all on the same page about that. We're sharing our struggles so that we can help each other rise to our highest potential. And with us today is another woman that is modeling that. And so, Laura, please introduce our guest today.
Welcome, everyone. Here with us today, we have Millen Livis, and she is a self-made millionaire who was able to beat the odds after she got divorced. She was depressed and financially broke, yet was able to transform her life from the inside out. And she's also an international holistic financial independence mentor, sought after
That's
international
a lot.
speaker, best-selling author, investor, and entrepreneur. A former Wall Street executive, M.B.A. graduate of the acclaimed Wharton Business School, and a holder of a master's degree in physics. Wow. So Millen is also a certified neuro-linguistic programming (NLP) and timeline therapy practitioner, certified instant miracle energy healer, and certified theta healing practitioner. In her work, Millen combines her traditional and holistic education to help clients elevate their financial intelligence, so that they have more money with less stress and less risk and become financially independent or retire faster and enjoy more freedom in their lives without having to worry about money. She does that by mentoring people in four areas of life that influence financial success the most: money mindset, money management, money investing, and spirituality. Using the millionaire method, her time
I
tested
love that.
holistic system for creating financial independence. And then Millen is truly living in her message. She was financially independent for over 13 years, owns beautiful homes in resort-like locations in the south of France and South Florida, and guides and supports her clients from all over the world. Love it. Millionaire.
Wow. Welcome.
Thank
I
you
know.
so
I love
much.
that play
Thank
on
you so
words.
much, Angelique and Laura, for inviting me. And I like that it's not a lecture kind of podcast. It's a chatting on the porch kind of podcast, because
Yeah.
I think that's what we want as entrepreneur. We want more informal connections, like people are starving for connections. And so I appreciate this opportunity to chat with you on the virtual porch.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So, where are you joining us? What virtual porch are you joining us from right now?
Well, at the moment, I'm in South Florida, and I'm going back to France mid-May. Yeah, I usually live
Okay.
half-half. Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I'm in Florida, in Central Florida, and Laura is in Oklahoma. So,
Oh, I was just wondering because
Nice.
you wear a warm scarf. I was like, I'm curious where Angelique right now, but okay, here you go.
Angelique is in a really well air conditioned home.
Okay.
And when I sit for long periods like this for the podcast, I get cold and I know I'm going to get cold. I've learned. So, I'm just dressing accordingly.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so you invited me to share some stories, right, that will demonstrate the journey of um, common entrepreneurial woman.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody has a story, and everybody's story is unique. And I'm not saying that my story is more unique than anybody else, but it's kind of unique in a way that, I was not born in this country. I actually came to the United States 33 years ago from Lithuania, which used to be a Soviet Union. And when I came, I didn't even speak English. So my beginning was very entrepreneurial, because I had to basically find a way to support my family without even being able to speak the language. Although I was well educated, I had degree in physics and had experience, but I couldn't work. So that was my beginning, and I always wanted to. I always wanted to learn how to invest in the stock market. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Just like I wanted to study physics since I was 6 years old girl. I have no idea how I knew what I wanted, but that's what happened to me. So anyway, I did create my American dream, right? I worked on Wall Street for many years. I, went from being an IT consultant to being an executive, and everything looked like, on the surface, looked like a perfect American dream: a perfect family, job, money, finally home, etc. And then one day I was sitting in my prestigious office in World Trade Center I used to work with in, and looking at the computer, and I felt so, for months and months, I felt so empty inside. I look at myself, at the reflection, and I asked myself, do you see yourself living that way for another 10, 20 years? And the answer was
Mm.
absolutely not. And it's not always easy, even when you know that something needs to be changed, to change, right? It's not. But I always felt that if I don't change, I would die. It's very weird. I was fairly young, but I felt like I was dying inside.
Well,
Yeah,
and
so
that's true though. If we don't change, most often we do die.
yeah, and you know
You
how
know?
many people are half alive right now? Like they look
Yes.
alive, but they don't really feel alive. And so that was me. That was me. And I also was living in a comfortable financially marriage that was loveless for years. And I was in a career that was meaningless but financially comfortable. And being a crazy hat that I am, I was like, I'm going to change this. So I walked away from my marriage, which basically put me in a very precarious situation because my family stopped talking to me because, like, he's not beating you up, he's not drinking. What's wrong with you? You have a baby. Well, she was grown up. She went to college. That's a baby. But anyway, so that was my decision, and I also at the same time I decided to resign from my very financially
Wow.
comfortable job.
That's a lot of change at one time.
Yeah, and I like that's something about me. When I make the decision, I act. And so anyway, it's a little bit long story, but I think it might be interesting to your viewers because it was a choice between being financially comfortable because I could stay at this job. They promised that I could stay, but I had to be full time, or go to the Wharton Business School, which, it was one of my dreams, and, to have a good education in this country. I was accepted, but I couldn't do both. I couldn't do part-time and go to school. And they said, make the decision. Initially, they promised that they will do that, but then they changed the decision. And so that was the moment for me to make the decision, another decision, in terms of following my intuition. Like I wanted to go, like all my um, inner being was like, I want to go to this business school, but it was on the surface, it was very impractical and very uncomfortable decision. So I decided to resign, and that was 2 months before 9/11, and I
Oh,
was in the
wow.
World Trade Center. So I was saved because of my intuition. So on 9/11, I was just across the river, seeing 9/11 live, in complete disbelief, because I knew that I would have been there should I
Yes.
made have made a different decision, and just follow the money convenience trail
Yeah.
versus path,
Yeah.
versus what I chose. So that's one story. And if that's okay with you, I think I would like to share the lessons. Right, my lesson was,
Yeah.
intuition is very powerful. It's very real. It's very real. And that was one of the lessons that I took from this, like, listen to your intuition. And another one from this experience was, you were saved for a reason. And from this point on, I was like, what is the reason? Why I was
Hmm.
saved? Like, a lot of my friends were there. So then, okay, so I went to this prestigious business school, had no idea why I went there, right? So graduated. And then everybody expects that, now that you have this prestigious degree, you will go back to corporate. And I was like, no, I was unhappy there. I was looking for solution. I thought that, having this degree will offer a solution. It didn't. So the lesson from this was, okay, before the lesson, let me share the story. So I was like, I'm not going back again. My friends were like, what's wrong with you? Like, everybody who has degree from Wharton is like, making more money, growing, climbing corporate ladder. And I felt that it's not the life I want to live. But I was not clear. I didn't have
Hmm.
clarity. And it's
Right.
so hard when you don't have clarity. You're looking for something, and what if I make mistake? What if I turn left and what is wrong? And what if I turn right and that would be wrong? It was very challenging. And that was the moment when I paused and I asked myself, what is important to you? What is it that would make you feel this feels right? And the answer was freedom. The answer was freedom. After all, that's why I left communist Soviet Union.
Yes.
After all, that's why I left the convenient corporate job, right? So, but then the next question was, okay, freedom, but how can you get freedom? How can you experience that, you have to be financially free. You cannot experience freedom if you constantly worry about money.
Mm.
So, okay, so financial freedom. And so I'm just sharing with you my kind of thinking, like, how can I
Yeah.
bless you? How can I
Right.
become financially free? And so I started researching, and the conclusion was, to be financially free, you've got to have multiple sources of income. At this time, and I'm very transparent, I didn't think about being an entrepreneur or not being an entrepreneur. I just wanted to be free, free from being with a man who, maybe I don't want to be with, or working for the boss I don't want to work for, or being dependent on government. So freedom was my North Star. So when I realized that I have to develop multiple sources of income, that's when I started thinking, like, how can I do that? So I founded my real estate investment company, my first entrepreneurial venture. Got very fortunate, got business partners, and things were really doing well. And then 2008 happened, and market crashed, business
Yeah.
crashed, and I crashed with the business. And that's when, at that time, I was living in a one bedroom, because when I walked out from my marriage, like, I left him everything because I felt like it's my decision. So I take responsibility. So I was living in this tiny apartment in Hoboken, New Jersey. And I became so depressed, so embarrassed, so ashamed that I
Hmm.
basically wasted my life. That's how I felt, like constantly, you're such a failure, you're such a failure. And it was a very painful place to be.
So, quick question.
Yeah,
How old were you when you decided to leave the marriage and the corporate environment?
early 40s,
34.
early 40s,
Early
40, 40.
40s.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. For some reason I feel like that's important because I think a lot of women our age and Laura your age, feel like that they're getting close to that point where I can't start over. And so I just feel like it's important for women to know that you can start over at any point.
I love what you just said, Angelique. I love it because it's my belief as well that it's never too late, never too late to start over. Okay,
Or to
because
start again.
or start
Yeah.
again, because you may say that life is short, but when you're miserable, it's very long. Okay,
Oh yeah.
so
Yes.
it's really very important to feel good about not only maybe your marriage or maybe your career, but about yourself. You've got to find a way to like yourself. I didn't always like myself. And it's very nice to feel that you can actually honestly say, you know what, I love who I am, right? So, and
It's very important.
it's never ever too late to start over.
Yeah.
And where was I? I forgot.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I
No, it's
interrupted your
okay.
flow.
So the
You were
place
the
I
woman.
was very painful, and that was the moment, and I believe that was the my spiritual awakening, because I was not raised in a religious family. I was not really, into spiritual principles. I didn't know much about this, and because I was very lonely, I didn't have anyone else to ask for help. That was the moment when I intuitively started praying and just spending time in silence and meditating, and things like that. So I believe that it was a dark night of my soul, and it also was my
Hmm.
spiritual awakening, and my heart broke open during that time, because when I was in corporate, I was such a, like, I was like a corporate um, uh, suit, like I was a female, but I was so masculine in my way of thinking, in my way of um, perceiving myself, and in everything, right?
Hmm.
That I was hard, I was hardened. And
Hmm.
this experience really opened my heart. And I think that was probably necessary. And sometimes universe knocks, and then it kicks your ass because it's like, okay, knock didn't work. Now it has to be something really hard.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was my experience. So that's what happened. And I just want to tell you, I really believe that I was saved by the grace of God, because I was introduced to the coach who was God sent, and he was expensive for me. And I remember he said, "Millen, you have to work with me." And I was like, "I can't afford you." And he
Yeah.
said, you cannot afford not to work with me. And he
Yeah.
was right. So he helped me to shift my uh, perspectives of what's possible, my perceptions of what success is, right? My definition of success and who I am. And this is so important, because a lot of people, when they think about like entrepreneurial journey, they think, what do I want to do? Where can I make more money? Things like that, right? They don't think that you have to be ready inside. You have to be this person who will be able to serve other, who is in a place to give, because you
Mm-hmm.
have you are full enough, fulfilled enough inside, right? So I was running on empty before. And so he helped me to realize that. So I started feeling better, thinking better. It's like, I remember it felt like, I was the flower that started to open. And during this time, I made really good decisions, and I started, really functioning better. And within 7 years, I became financially independent. And then when I became financially independent, that's when I was like, okay, what's now? Now I can choose to work. I don't have to work. Isn't it a beautiful place to be? But you know what? It's not enough to have money. You have to be healthy, and you have to feel fulfilled. And I
Mhm.
realized that I got all this experience that I accumulated during this time, and it was a need to give birth, like to write this. And I'm not a writer. I told you I didn't even speak English when I came to this country. But I started writing not because I wanted to be a published author, but because I could not to write. And that's how my first two books were written. The first book was a shift toward purpose, a shift toward purpose, secrets to an amazing career, where I talk about my transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, my struggle, my prayers, my dark night of the soul moment, and things like that. So, and then year later, I wrote a book called A Shift Toward Abundance, Secrets to Financial Freedom, where I talk about duality of money. It has spiritual nature and it has practical nature. And I talk about different assets that you can invest in. So basically, just another aspect of my journey. And then when I finally published these books, to my shock, they became bestsellers. It's like, me? Like, again, I at that time I was still not fully embodying my power, right? So I said, okay, people read books but they don't act on this, so what's next? And that's why I called myself accidental entrepreneur, because I was not dreaming to be entrepreneur. My dream was to live life of freedom. But then once you have this financial freedom, it's like it's almost a need to give, right? Because giving is a new getting. Like, you cannot be fulfilled unless you give, whether it's experience, whether it's your time, etc., right? So you've got to give. So, and that's when I started thinking that I want to work with other women and help them to become financially successful as well. And that's kind of
Mhm.
how I transitioned into um, like entrepreneurship, not just being an investor, but also being entrepreneur. And that's how my company was born. And the name of my company is Dare to Change Life, which I
Yeah.
believe that that's what I've done in my life. And that's very important when you know that something needs to be changed. It's knowing is not enough. You have to really act on this knowing and dare to do that. And so that's how my entrepreneurial career started, and it was very bumpy. I had no idea what I was doing because I thought like, well, it's going to be fun. I will have more flexibility. I will only work, let's say, 3 days a week and 5 hours a day and things like that. Boy, I was wrong, right? So once you realize what is involved, it's like, okay, I've got to have this skill set. I have to know how to market. I have to become a good salesperson. I have to be very empowering and impactful and inspiring speaker. So things started accumulating in terms of awareness of the skill sets that I was lacking. And many times in my life that I heard from friends and family, like, will you ever stop working hard? And I was like, I don't know how to not to, you know? I,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, because for me, I have very curious mind. For me was, I would like to learn how to heal people energetically, because I see when I work with someone, it's not just the person who has money problems. It's just the person who has, it's multidimensional being who probably has maybe problem with self-confidence, with self-worth, maybe some health issues, maybe some spiritual issues that were not addressed. And that's when I was like, okay, now I know how to invest. So I created programs about investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, investing in cryptocurrencies. But I realized it was not enough. And that's when I went back and I looked like, what did I do that worked for me? And that's how the millionaire method was born. I reverse engineered and I said, mindset, that's the foundation
Mm-hmm.
of your financial
Yes.
house. Absolutely,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, we were just having this conversation yesterday with another guest about just changing your mindset around money and our money beliefs, um, and how our money mindset's just so steeped in emotion, and our relationship with money is very emotional. Um, but I love your story because, well, number one, coming from um, another country, not speaking the language, there's just one barrier. And um, and then, choosing, having to learn the language, having to start at the bottom and work your way up again after getting a degree in physics, for Pete's sake. I mean, how humbling would that be? And to then, become successful in the way that our society defines success, which is, a certain way, um, then to, of your own volition and by choice, walk away from that because of intuition. And I feel like that's huge because we all have the ability to hear and listen to that knowing. And we've just tuned it out so much that it's like it's like that radio in the background when the radio is always on, but you really, majority of the time, you're not listening, but it's there, it's on, it's talking
Mhm.
to you, it's speaking to you. You're not listening, your ear isn't tuned to it. It's like being a mom and tuning out mom, mom, mom. Eventually we tune it out, or we get or we tune out the all the noise,
Mhm.
and so that we can focus. But I think we've done ourselves as humans a disservice. And we need to learn to tune back into that intuition, because look what it can do. It can literally save our life. You're just one example. You're just one example of so many people who decided, okay, I know this doesn't make any sense on paper. Other people are like, are you crazy? But this is what I know I'm supposed to do. And by doing it, you didn't die on 9/11. And and then, I think there's such a larger lesson to learn here, other than just about becoming wealthy or becoming financially independent or becoming, an entrepreneur. It isn't about that. Really, deep down, it's about, are you fulfilled? Do you have
Mhm.
anything left to give at the end of the day to you? Do you
Yeah.
listen to your inner voice anymore?
Angelique, I think you summarize it so nice, so well, because many people feel that entrepreneurship is like it's the way to happiness or the way to fulfillment. It's a tool, but
Mm-hmm.
Right.
it all starts within you. You really have to. I believe that my journey, my entrepreneurial journey, is the best personal development I ever had. Class, right? And we
Yeah.
all have, each of us have a unique journey that our soul chose for us. For some reason, like my soul chose, this zigging and zagging, achieving your goal, dropping all the way down and then going back up and then dropping back. So we all have unique soul, and honoring this,
Mhm.
it's honoring your divine purpose, because we all have divine purpose on this planet. And it's just not only wise thing to do, it's just very practical thing to do, because if you don't, you will sabotage yourself, you will be miserable, doesn't matter how much money you have. And I know for some people it's like surprise, because you are like financial coach and you're saying that money is not the most important thing. It is very important, because money makes everything easier, but I would never put money on a pedestal, and I would never chase money, because what you chase, you could never have full of, right? Because you will always
Mm.
feel that you don't have enough. And no matter how little I had, well, during my depression, it's a different story because I was suicidal. But when we just came and I was uh, trying to support my family and stuff like that, what I remember very clearly, and I remind this to my clients, I remember very clearly that I made conscious choice to focus on what works. We were healthy, we were young, we had enough money to have food, we had roof over my table or over our heads. So focusing on what works in your life, focusing on abundance that you have right now, because so many people don't have even what you have. It's very, very
Yeah.
important. Doesn't matter how much you have, because you can have a lot and still feel that you don't have enough. And you can
Mhm.
have not a lot and feel like, oh my God, I am so grateful for the abundance that I have. And that makes a
Yeah.
difference. Grateful people are much happier than those that
Mhm.
have a lot. It's a very
Yeah.
big difference, right?
Yeah. It's
I
true. It's
love it.
true.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true.
the
The mental.
grateful, being grateful.
Mhm. Yeah, that was my. We discussed it. So you pick your word or your idea of what your focus is for the year, and last year mine was being grateful. Grace and being grateful about what this looked like, what I was happy for. Like, okay, yes, there were ups and downs, but I was grateful for everything that we had daily, for the littlest, tiniest things. Um, and I saw massive growth in the way I felt about myself, my business, my surroundings, and all of that, and still in the same place. But for me, the massive growth inside and just how that filled up and stuff, and being grateful and being in gratitude about everything that we already had and what we would gain and what was we were gaining along the way, and that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
was definitely that was a game changer. Because I think when you said it, that entrepreneurship was your biggest change. Like mentally, it sends you into this. I hear a lot
Personal
of people that
development, it's a personal development
Mhm.
opportunity. For me, it
Yeah.
was the biggest one. Yeah.
And
And
it
I just
makes
want
so
to
much
add
sense.
something because gratitude is very important, but I also know that there were moments in my life, even after my dark night of the soul, there were moments in my life when I knew that I needed to ask God for help, ability to surrender, because I thought, like, when coach approached me and I was like, I can't afford you, because I was this macho corporate woman, that I was smart, I was well educated, I had great experience, I can handle anything. No, you can't. I mean, I'm talking about
Mm,
myself. As I spoke,
right.
as I realized, I couldn't. I needed help. I needed help from the coach, and I also needed higher power, higher uh, God's intervention to, like I said, to open my heart, so I will be open minded and be more aware of the invisible force that we all have access to. Right? We talked about intuition. We all have access to this power, and intuition is. It was this discovery of the power of intuition was worth all my struggles. That's how important it is.
Hmm.
That's how
Yeah,
important it is.
A lot
it
of
is really important. And I think the catalyst, and this has come up time and time again with our guests, is having that coach or mentor,
mm-hmm.
having a coach or mentor, and the value in that, that it goes beyond how much you spend on that coach or mentor, or how much time you invest with them. It's exponential. And oftentimes we can't get to where we could potentially be without that, right? Without that person, um, mentoring you, coaching you. Um, we
And
don't
it's
know.
not
We don't
because, and
know.
it's not because, like, I'm talking about myself. It's not because you're not smart enough or you're not experienced enough. It's just sometimes you're so close to the situation that you cannot see clearly. Like
Absolutely.
in my case, I was so close, I couldn't see clearly what was happening with me. It needed someone outside of my immediate environment to point out, right? So it's just that simple. That's why everybody has coaches. I right now I have spiritual coach, I have business coach, I have marketing coach. I have several coaches to support me because now I know how important it is. And back then for me it was a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you
And
learn how important it is, it's like you can't go without it. It's kind of addictive, um, but in a very good way. So,
It's
Millen,
a
thank
form
you
of
so
self-love.
much.
I just want to say that having support, whether it's your coach, whether it's your good therapist, or whatever else, whatever form of support it is for you, it's a form of self-love. If you appreciate yourself, if you feel you're worthy of support and being feeling good about yourself and your love, that's how you demonstrate this, right? Because self-love is the engine of any success, whether it's financial success or business success. If you don't love yourself, you will not be successful and you will not be wealthy either. So that's why it's that important, and form of
Yeah,
self-leadership as well.
I
yeah,
love that. Yeah, because that's
agreed,
absolutely.
agreed. Um, thank you, Millen. Thank you so much. I do want to mention that you mentioned you've got a couple of books out there. You can get those on Amazon. And the website for Millen is daretochangelife.com. You need to go there and get the free wealth planner that she has out there. In addition to that, she has online courses, she's got live training. That you can benefit from. So please take a moment and check out her website. We will drop all the links for everything we've mentioned during the podcast in the show notes for those that like to check out the show notes. I'm one of those people. I'm always raiding the show notes for websites and other free resources. So, Millen, thank you so much, and we really appreciate the time that you've given to us and the story that you shared. I think that you started out quite succinctly, and we all have a story to share I think we all do. And so thank you for sharing yours with our listeners
Thank you.
today.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity to chat with you on this virtual porch.
Ah, I love it. We're gonna have to use that virtual porch. We're just gonna have a little chit chat
Go
on the
ahead.
virtual porch.
Go ahead. Use it.
So we usually end up with in the podcast episode with one ask. Our ask right now, we're just focused on getting those followers on YouTube. So if you don't already follow us on YouTube, please, please, please go out, give us a follow. If you already follow us, please, share, invite others to follow us in some, another channel. If not on YouTube, share YouTube videos and somebody go, hey, check out this podcast. We would really, really appreciate that. And you can find us on Fempreneur True Confessions on YouTube. So until next time, we will talk to you later. Have a great week, you guys.
Have a great week, everyone.